Hello, and a very warm welcome to the Happiness Chat. Whether you want to start a business or expand an existing one, add more pieces of equipment, or develop new products, finance is at the very core of every business organization. It is the fuel of business, and its management is equally important for organizations to emerge successful. To be specific, financial management helps the organization determine what to spend, where to spend, and when to spend. Today, my guest is an expert in the field of finance. He has been the head of finance in leading multinational companies, having handled millions and millions. It gives me great pleasure to welcome my guest, Rene Van Hoff, to the Happiness Chat today. Thank you so much for joining me today, Rene. I am truly delighted to have you over.
Thank you, Shilpa. It's been my honor to be your guest. And we've known each other now for almost 10 years, I would say. We met at one of my previous employers in 2011, Smith Nalco, where you were my legal manager. And so I had the pleasure of working with you for quite a number of years. And I truly enjoyed working with you. So it's my pleasure joining you in this conversation.
Thank you so much, Rene. Always a pleasure to see you and talk to you. So tell me, how early in your life did you decide that you would be getting into this field?
Well, it's a bit complicated in the sense that until I was about 16, I always thought I would go to the Marine Academy and become a captain on a merchant vessel. But then at some point at that time, the market for shipping was very, very lousy. So I thought that's not a very good idea. But thinking about what drove me to become a captain was actually because I wanted to manage. So that was the reason for me then to switch to business economics, because I thought, well, instead of managing a vessel, why not start trying to manage a company? And during my studies at the Erasmus University in Rotterdam, I actually started enjoying the finance field very much. And so that's when I actually turned in or redirected my focus a little bit more to managing within finance. So when did this come up? I would say when I was about 20. Yeah, until that moment it was management in general, and then around 20 I thought, well, managing within finance is actually what I really like.
Well, I'm so glad that you did this, because you're obviously fantastic in it. So tell me, one obviously has to be good with numbers to be in finance, but what other skills or attributes are needed to do well in this field?
It very much depends on which area of finance you want to be in. If you want to be in insurance practice, then of course it's quite different from if you want to be a CFO like I am. My background is not within the insurance practice, although a lot of CFOs come from that area. But I think that what helps me in being a good CFO is understanding the business. And not trying to make finance the focus of your attention, but the business should be the focus of your attention. And then the numbers follow out of the business. So once you understand the business, you also understand the numbers. And then you can use this knowledge of what you see and learn from the numbers and feed it back towards the business. And I think that's when you are really adding value to the business, and business will also start appreciating finance, instead of just a bunch of number crunchers and people delivering the external reports. No, it's much more about how do you manage the information flows within your company, and how do you share that knowledge with your business. So I would say being very much open to how a company works, what the people actually do, what the product is that you deliver. And once you understand that, then it's much easier also to understand the numbers.
Wow, you said it so well. I mean, I just love the way you said it's about adding value to the company. It's not about the numbers, because I think numbers are so overwhelming. that it's all about what is it that you can do to the company, what is your contribution. And
Yeah.
you said it so well. I won't even try to reiterate it.
No, no worries, no worries. No, but I think I think finance in a lot of times is very much underestimated, or what finance can contribute to a company. But it's also about the way the people within finance present themselves within the company. And I would say be open to what's happening within the company, and try to understand it, and join your business colleagues, join them for a couple of days and what they do on a daily basis. So that really helps. Actually, at least it helps me. Yeah.
It does. In fact, I have one small suggestion, Rene. Take classes on that, because you really need to teach the finance people how to be not so boring, so overwhelming, and to be able to talk in a layman's language.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I will think about
Okay.
it.
Thank you. So, having been there, done that, what advice would you give to people on financial independence?
Yeah. And what do you mean with financial independence?
I mean, actually, everything, Rene, it's like financial independence, like you people manage numbers, you manage the accounts, and you want the company to progress. You want the
Yeah.
company to be financially independent from debts, liabilities, and all these kind of things. But financial independence is important for everybody. So you do it
Yeah.
at a corporate level, but for just the common people, what do you think that we can do to become financially independent?
Yeah, that's a tricky one, eh? I think I assume everybody would like to be financially independent, but how many people actually manage to be that, to become really independent? And it's I think for a long period in time you will always try to be that, but whether you succeed, it's difficult. I would say the most important thing is, other than financial independence, maybe just being independent is maybe much more important. And that's something that I've always tried to be. I've switched a number of times between jobs, because after a certain period of time, yeah, I like to be challenged, and when the challenge disappears, it's for me that's the moment to start thinking about what's next. What you should always try to do is be independent in taking your decisions, and not trying to stick to what you have or what you think is very important at that moment in time. I remember that my first job was with a bank, and I decided to leave the bank. My father did not understand that, because why would you leave such a fantastic job with a bank, with security, lifelong employment? And I thought, well, why? I mean, that's boring. I just decided, no, I just quit my job and started trying to find another one, which I did. Or at some point in time, my wife and I said, well, we want to live abroad. So we just thought, okay, let's quit our job and start looking for a job that we can find abroad. And so we did. So we've traveled around, and I think the most important thing that I took away from that was, never let other people direct your own life. It's take control of over your own life. And I think if you're independent, then financial independence can follow from that. And also it's very relative. I mean, what is financial independence? It differs per person. Whatever you need that makes you happy, in the way you want to live, can be very little, can be very lot, can be a lot.
Very,
Does
very
that
well
answer
said.
your question?
Very well, very well.
Okay,
Thank you.
good.
You captured it very well. So the year 2020 has been a tough one, to say the least, in all aspects. So many businesses have closed down, or they have downsized drastically. How do you suppose businesses will bounce back?
Oh, I'm sure it will bounce back because I think all the fundamentals are still very good. Uh, Actually, in my business, when COVID started, we all started making our crash scenarios and lockdown scenarios, and started thinking about what could happen. But actually, I'm now working in building materials, and actually, one of the things that really took off was building. So we had a very good year, which was very much surprising to us at the start. So I think if you look at it, as I understand it from one of my bankers, about 10 to 15% suffer, 10 to 50% of the businesses suffer. And I cannot imagine that it's something that will last for a very long time because, as I said, the fundamentals are good. There's no reason when COVID started, the economy was doing well, the world was doing well from an economic point of view, and that hasn't really changed. So I would say that once people have see the light at the end of the tunnel, they will become very optimistic again. And so yes, it may be a tough time for a small period of time, but I think we will bounce back. And I'm pretty sure that after 5 years from now, people will look back and say, well, okay, well, what really happened, and was it really that bad? I think people's memory is usually very short term. Yeah, so I'm pretty optimistic about it.
So nice to hear you being so optimistic about it. It makes us feel so good. So that's wonderful.
Yeah,
Uh,
think about flying after 9/11. How many people said I will not step into an airplane very soon? And people thought that it would change the airline industry fundamentally from that moment on. Well, actually, maybe it did, but I think people started flying 3 times as much after that. So yeah, I don't think it's a lot of. There's a need to be very pessimistic about it.
True.
People have conquered worse situations.
Absolutely. That's so true. So, with the super fast development of artificial intelligence, do you foresee some of the functions in finance being handled by AI?
Oh, absolutely. I think that everything that is uh, the core of finance. So let's say the whole bookkeeping, um, the general ledger, all the accounts. I think that will in the end all be handled by AI. And why not? Think about it. When you're in a shop, once you pay at the register, uh, actually systems can know everything to make all the postings in your accounts. So there's no need actually for human interaction if systems would know how to do it, and artificial intelligence will at some point be able to handle those types of actions. So I think in that sense, a lot of work will be handled by computers in the end. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And having climbed the top of the corporate ladder, what goals do you have in mind?
Well, I'm pretty happy in what I'm doing actually at the moment. So I don't have ambitions of uh, yeah, a lot of huge ambitions after this what I'm doing now. I'm now 52, and who knows what will happen in, let's say, 10 years from now. But if you talk about what do you aspire, then I think one of the things that I would really like is coming back a little bit to your question about financial independence, is not being dependent on the pension schemes that the government has set up, and having to work until, what is it? I think for me, they expect that I will have to work until about 68, 69. Well, I would be very happy if I can avoid that. So at some point in time, I think my ambition would be to slow down a little bit in how you work and what your workload is. That's not now, and let's say not within 10 years from now, but after that, yeah, why not? So I've actually, I'm pretty happy with my career, what I've done so far, all the steps that I've made, and it's not that I have a huge ambition after this one. And who knows what time will bring. But I'm open to it. But for now, I'm happy with as how it is.
Wonderful. It's a beautiful place to be in. I mean, if you're content and happy with the way things are going, it's a
Yeah,
lovely place.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Great. So, finance is a very respected field, and many youngsters aspire to join it. Any tips for them?
Yeah, I would say have an open mind. Um, of course, it helps if you are very analytical, so that you know how to look at numbers, how to look through the numbers and get information out of it. But I would say, as I said at the start, be open-minded and try to understand how you can add value to the business. When I started within finance in my first companies after I left the banking industry, um, the idea within a company was that finance is somewhere at the lower ranks of a company just producing reports for external parties. And I would say place finance in the core, in the center of your company, because they can add so much value if they are able to really understand how the business works and analyze the data and come with a lot of useful information, come up with a lot of useful information and feed it back into the company. So I think that's something that if you really want to be in finance, try to do that. But I mean that's my field of finance. There's so many different areas. But so be open-minded, be independent, have a strategic mind, and try to be that business partner. You should not be the only. Of course, you have a compliance role, but you should also put on your advisory role or hat sometimes. To really show people that it's not only about compliance, but that you really can help.
Wonderful. And
Yeah.
tell me, Renee, this is a happiness chat, so I have to ask you, what does happiness mean to you?
Ah, that's always such a difficult question. Happiness, being content, and being happy with the people around you. I think that's the most important thing. Making sure that you're happy with the people around you, and that the people around you are happy with you. So happiness for me is about um, yeah being free, being independent, having control over your own life, and also of course making sure that everybody around you is healthy. That also adds a lot. So yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Renee, such a simple question, but it makes one think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I've noticed this when I ask this question, the people they are like very, very intellectual and they're like, have to think about it. And ultimately, the answers, if you look at it, are so simple. Whether it
yeah,
is freedom you spoke about, it's contentment, it could be gratitude for whatever we have, good health, just to see everyone around us, all our loved ones to be happy. It makes us
yeah.
happy. So actually, it is so simple.
That's interesting because if you start your career, then a lot of people will probably say, as you mentioned earlier on, being financially independent will make me happy. But the older you get, and the further you get into your career, that actually becomes less and less important. Huh? Because how much do you really need to be happy? It's not that much. Well, having lived in Dubai like you can see how money can make a lot of people very unhappy. And so I would say, yeah, when you start with your career, I understand that that's one of the things that you think is very important. But trust me, the older you get, it becomes less and less important. And there's a lot of other factors that will determine whether you're happy or not. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting, Rene, that today in College Times, my article came out, and the title of it is Relatability. And what I would like to add in my conversation with you is, although I don't find the topic of finance so relatable, I'm not that intelligent, I guess. But but I find it very easy to relate to you because you're very approachable. You talk in people's language. Like if you were talking to me, you would come down and talk in the language that I would understand. And when you were talking to your colleagues in your department, you have your own lingo and your short forms, and they understand it. So I think relatability is so important, and that's really something that I think one could learn from you.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. That's a nice compliment. Much appreciated.
No, I
Thank
truly
you.
mean it. And it's been so interesting and enlightening to talk with you. The only finance person I am very fond of. I am putting this in the public domain today. A rare combination of brains, so good with numbers, a heart full of compassion, and a brilliant smile on top. That's the real cherry on top of the cake. So, thank you so much for joining me and sharing some nuggets of financial wisdom with us. I certainly feel wiser.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, my pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
Alba.
Renee. And for everybody out there, until we meet again, be happy, be safe. Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.